Hello, everyone. I'm Frank Jernigan, and this is the weekly meeting of the Phrancko Sweater Knitters. Everyone is welcome to join us, so please come join us on Saturdays at 2:30 Pacific time. If you are possibly somewhere in the world that can make that time and you're a knitter, come and join us. Hi, Wally.
Hi, Frank.
Hi, Sumner.
Hi.
Hi, Ron.
Hello.
Hi,
Tim's here in the
Judith.
other room too.
Oh, hi,
Hi,
Tim.
Tim.
We'll
Bonjour,
welcome Tim when he
everyone.
comes in. Hi, Judith. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Hi, Jenny.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Frank.
How's everyone doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Did anybody do public knitting today?
No.
Yes. No, I haven't, but I'm going out to the park afterwards.
Yeah.
So,
Tim and I took a trip to the library this morning where a knitting event was happening and gave out mini skeins and stickers and
Oh, nice.
and
Oh, nice.
nice.
showed up to be the yarn Santa, I guess.
In case anyone doesn't know, today is National Knit in Public Day.
Yeah.
Oh,
I worked all day.
I couldn't see the, how can I say? I didn't think it was as interesting to go alone in a public place and knit. I don't know.
It,
Not that I'm shy, but
No, not that you're shy, Judith.
a little timid, perhaps, but shy, no.
No, but there was supposed to be a picnic near where I live, and they canceled it because of the weather. But
Whoa.
it was okay. It just started a few drops of rain, maybe I don't know, half an hour ago. The picnic would have been over, so that's too bad. Maybe
It
next
is
year.
too bad.
I'm going to cry.
Because the rain started or stopped?
That was a question for Ron, right?
Yes, because he
Because
said he
that's
was
the
going
weather
to cry.
that gets things canceled that you're having. They were talking before the filming started, when we were having an approved prior to the filming conversation about the weather. We are under the blistering heat dome in the western US. I don't know how things are on the coast for you, in the bay for you, Frank, but
It's cloudy and looks like threatening rain, so I'm hoping it will hold off so I can go out to the park and knit in public.
as soon as we're done here, I am packing into my car and I am driving out to visit my parents on the Central Coast for the rest of the weekend because it is vile.
It's wild or vile?
Vile.
Oh God.
And in previous years, the Knit in Public Day event that's happened around here has been outdoors. You can't be outdoors here in June. And then with a heat wave going on. So today it cooled down. Today it's 36 degrees, so at 97. And it was up to 107 earlier this week. And
oh my.
And our shop got invested by bees.
Oh Lord.
The second time, twice in as many years. I think the bees from last year left pheromones or something, because we came and discovered bees in the exact same location. And once it's over like 95, bees can't be anymore. So the swarm just came and collected themselves right on the outside of the yarn shop. 2 days.
Oh, goodness. Oh, blimey.
Yeah.
And you get the mean bees down there too.
These were just honeybees. They were nice.
They were nice.
Any of the bees when they're swarming are pretty much not mean.
Yeah, and
They're-
in the heat, they don't have the energy to
They
spare.
can't. They just kind of like, oh, we're just waiting here.
But on the second day, unfortunately, someone had come in and hassled them in the morning, so they were kind of
Oh
riled
no,
up.
that's not good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and they were right outside our door. So we're like,
Mm.
oh, we'll leave the bees be.
I've
As it were.
I've captured a few swarms. It's very interesting. It's quite
Yeah.
fun.
So,
I
and
love the bee lady on YouTube who saves the bees. She's
Mhm, mhm.
wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I
it'll
was
take
never
a
brave
moment.
enough to do it like her with bare hands and no suit, though. I
Yeah,
mean, I
just
I
cooping
didn't
them up.
I didn't smoke them, but I would wear a full suit and stuff. But it is weird feeling all their little feet walking on your arm, you know. And
Mm.
you've got a suit on and you've got gloves and all this, but you can still feel them everywhere. And it's just like, oh my gosh, if they wanted to, but they don't. They're fine.
It's a good time to hijack Franco's platform to say, don't spray bees.
Yeah.
Yes,
do
don't
not, do
spray
not.
bees.
Yes,
Right.
No.
So,
that's perfectly okay on my platform.
we
We are all for not spraying the bees.
Yes, don't spray bees.
so we closed down the shop for 2 days to leave the bees alone, to let well, I didn't want people in and out disturbing the
Right.
poor bees.
The thing is that people get wigged out, and I
Yeah.
mean, the first time that ours swarmed, I even though I knew what it was and stuff, it's like
It's
I
freaky.
wigged out. It's like it's freaky. They're all going around you, and they're all there, and it's like
And the
Yeah.
noise,
the
it's
noise.
freaky,
It's a
but
particular loud sound.
mm.
I guarantee you there is a bee company in your area that will do bee removals. So if
Yeah.
you see a swarm, don't spray them, please.
And whether it's a even if it's not a company, ours has there is a group of local beekeepers that meet, and so they call, they get somebody, the closest person comes and gets them, and they're
Wow.
happy to have them, and they take them and they um, have their very own new hive. It worked out good.
We have a local firefighter who does it.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a volunteer firefighter and he goes and he does the bees.
That's so nice. He saves the smoke from work in jars.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Take it
got
out.
one more knit and public day related thing if you don't mind me showing
Sure.
you someone's Phrancko project.
Ooh.
Let me see if I can share my screen.
Is this one of your students?
Yes.
Oh, that's gorgeous!
Oh,
So
Oh,
this is
nice.
my friend
Look
Jackie
at that.
Lindstrom, aka Nurse Jackie. Hello, Jackie, if you happen to tune in. She's
Hi,
great.
Jack.
She's a nurse navigator at a cancer center here in town. She spearheads the knitted knockers drive and the blankets and caps for chemotherapy patients. She's a busy woman. So there she is with her Phrancko. So you can see she's done the top of the bodice, and then it's going to be tunic length with that sort of what's it, old shale pattern lace
Mm.
Yeah.
down from her natural waist, and that'll be on to the so a tunic length. She
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's a
very
hand-dyed
pretty.
yarn. She got
Yes.
from us here.
Wh-
And the
Which
yarn
yarn?
colors, lovely.
This is one of the yarns that we dye here. It's called
Okay.
Quantum DK. I think the color is just called violet. Uh,
Beautiful.
Very
but yeah,
pretty.
we dyed that up for her as a custom order. She found the color she wanted, and if you remember the child's tunic that I designed,
Mhm.
Yes.
she saw that, and when I did the Phrancko class, she said, "I want that in a big girl size."
Oui.
So we said, "Okay, let's make it." So she chose her lace, did her pattern, did her swatches, and so she's pulled it out of its hibernation project bag, and she was working on it at Knit and Public Day today, and so there was some Phrancko action going on.
yay.
That's great.
Yay.
That's cool.
Well
That's
done,
gonna be
Jackie.
beautiful.
Jackie, she's
Very nice.
just great. Love
That's
Jackie.
wonderful, Jackie. So great to see
Yes.
you and to
She's
see you.
Another English woman.
Hmm.
She's from Romsley.
Hmm.
Well, we love our English women on this web.
Yes, we do.
But her time zone isn't as far afield as Jenny's being an export.
We have to have about 10 people, Jenny, in the boot camp from the UK.
Oh, do you?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like 2 from, well, and then on top of that, there's 2 from New Zealand. We've got a bunch in Israel. It's pretty cool.
Wow, very international group.
Yes. So here's the question for you that I started everybody talking about knitting, God forbid, on a knitting webcast. I'm trying to work out a best way to more tightly tension my purl stitches in continental knitting. So
Oh,
how now you taught yourself to continental knit over 3 months because of an injury. And then what type of continental purl do you do? Do you know the name of it?
I do continental combined. So my pearl stitches are twisted, and then you untwist them on the following row. So I
Oh,
pick
okay.
my knits and I pick my pearls. So I can do it the other way, but to get the best tension, I do my pearls. Yeah, so I don't know how you
So
explain it, but
you're
I think
clockwise
it's
purling
called
and-
continental combined.
And you're going into your knit stitches on the open stitch to reset them correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, then. That is combination knitting. So yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, Sumner, are you purling right now?
I am.
Okay, just watching what you're doing, the stitches on your right-hand needle are really stretched out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If they're closer, they take up less yarn. And so if you're purling that you're stretching them apart, you will use more yarn. It will make your purl looser, even just because you're making them up like that when you're doing, rather than having them closer. Look at his face. Look at his face.
Don't be self-conscious.
See,
We're all watching, though.
You can see that mine is, but yours, you were having, I was noticing it, and for the size of yarn, it looks like you're using, I think you're doing your like boot camp worsted, right?
Yeah, this
Yarn.
is
Yeah, you've got it really spread out, and so you want it to all be still, so it is your kind of, if you'd lay even a ruler on there, that you would have your 5 stitches per inch, not stretched out more. If you stretch out more, you're using more yarn, and then that will make your pearls a little bit bigger. And I would not seeing, but I would guess that when you knit, your knits are closer together.
okay. Because I really, really love the Norwegian purl, but I'm finding a harder time putting that on the tip of the needle.
Well, but is your tension being problematic on the Norwegian?
It's looser.
I'm not surprised, because I think that stretches the yarn more with the Norwegian
With the
pearl.
Norwegian, because it goes
Yeah.
all the way around.
Yes, because you're wiggling it
Mhm.
backwards and forwards. So I'm not surprised that that's a looser tension.
Yeah, me either. And I'm just practicing. I would like to eventually move all to continental knitting and give up flicking.
Why? Because I thought you said
Well,
you went a lot
I
faster
love-
and you liked it.
That was my
I love
question.
flicking, and I knit so fast that sometimes I end up hurting my hands, and I need to change
Oh,
my
okay,
method.
hurting. So
Like,
you need to do something
I'll-
different.
I'll cramp, and then I'll go to Portuguese or something else because I knit really fast, and that repetitive motion with flicking is, I think, a little bit too much. I don't get that continental.
Okay.
I just need
But you
better
do realize when you're hands or your shoulders or your arms are giving you those little pain signals. They're saying, oh, we need to do something else for a minute. We need
I
to
know.
take a rest. We need to get up and walk around the room.
I know.
We need
We
to
need
mow
to-
the
we need-
lawn.
Well, no, I wouldn't go that far, Wally.
I
But,
would go down.
but we do need to listen to our bodies.
We can
and-
get up and watch the
thinking.
landscapers mow the lawn.
That's true. That's true. I do that too.
Yeah,
We watched
I
the
mowed
guys wash the windows and blow off the
Yeah.
gutters here yesterday
Yeah.
because we've got the high things, and it's like, nope, I'm not getting out there on the ladder. We're not doing that.
Mm.
But yeah, watch Sumner when you knit, going back, how close are your stitches together.
Oh, they're really
And
close.
then, okay, so that's the thing. You're stretching them apart when you do it, when you do the purls, rather than, so just clump them up a little bit more.
Yeah.
I've even thought about, I know it's a dorky thing, but I've even thought about it's like, okay, could we just like make little marks every inch on our knitting needle
Mhm.
so that you can kind of see? And I mean, it's
They
maybe
do have
use
needles.
fingernail polish.
There are needles with an imprinted
We,
1 inch markings on.
Yes,
1
yeah.
inch.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because I thought that sometimes that would help to even just do a little quick gauge of, okay, but some you just learn how close it has to be to make it look. And for mine, if I'm concerned about it, I do pick up my little handy dandy twisted skein measuring. Look at it. I keep it hanging right here next to me. And it does help to just check and see. It's like, how am I running? It's like, oh, I'm kind of more in the 4 range of, oh, I'm kind of in the 6 or 7 range. And because how
Yeah.
much you stretch your stitches out, that's going to affect your tension.
Well,
Sumner,
it does.
Have you watched any videos on lever knitting or cottage
Yes.
knitting? Or
Yes, I
you're
have.
already tension in your right hand. You hold your hands much more stationary in those styles.
Mm.
The lever knitting, I can't get the pencil grip.
Oh.
Like, you know how they have the pencil grip? It's very fumbly.
Is it?
I'm sure if I
You don't
really
need the
work at
pencil
it.
grip is obligatory.
What
No.
kind of knitting are you talking about? Weaver?
Lever knitting.
Lever
Ellie-
knitting, sometimes called
Lever.
cottage knitting.
Yeah, cottage, yeah. cottage
Is that
knitting.
where you use like a belt and you
That's
have one?
Shetland style knitting,
Oh, that's
which
okay.
is
All right.
related.
Can you, can you elaborate or just
Yeah.
tell me just a little?
Can
So-
you describe what that is?
The needle I'm
Yes.
knitting onto, my right hand needle in this case, remains stationary.
Oui. As if you were using a knitting
As
belt?
if you were using not my native style. So, but it's sort of a 2-stroke knitting process, and I'm not catching it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Mm.
But
Thank
that's
you.
not continental, right? That's
No,
English. Oh, yeah, I
it's,
really
it's not
wanna-
English. It's a right hand tensioning method, but it's not English.
Yeah, it's lever. So, yeah, I really want to work on the continental, and I'll get there. Everybody says it takes about a month at least.
Takes
Well,
a
if you
while,
were-
yes.
If you were learning to play the piano, it would take like a couple of years. So be patient, Sumner.
Oh, and I'm so good at that.
I know you are a very patient individual. He's just totally left. He's not even there anymore.
Of course, now none of that was in pattern. I have to tinker.
Sumner
Uh,
disappeared. Where'd you go, Sumner?
I
Turned
turned
into
my
a sofa.
turned my camera around. There we
Oh.
go.
He was irritated at us.
I was irritated, so I turned my picture.
That's the first time that you've been that irritated at us. And we've been together for years, Sumner, and you've never been that
That-
irritated.
Well, because funny, Cindy, I know exactly what you're saying, and I've been trying to do exactly what you're saying, and it isn't working. It's just, I just got to struggle through it. I know I have to tighten up those stitches, and I'm just not figuring out a way to do it.
Or
Practice.
could give up. Don't
No.
forget that option.
No, not
Yes.
It
giving
could be
up.
not for you.
Not
Right.
giving up. Not giving up.
I had a riding instructor that talked very much about learning to do things. And he said there's 4 levels of competence. There is unconscious incompetence, where you don't know how to do it, but you don't know that you don't know how to do it. And then the next one that sometimes takes a long time is conscious incompetence, that you know you're not doing it exactly the way you want to or what you're doing, but you still are incompetent. You still can't quite get it. And then the third level you get to is conscious competence of, okay, if I sit here and I measure and I do exactly, and that's where I'm kind of into right now. I can do it. I am consciously competent, but I have to think about it all the time. I have to focus. Do not interrupt me. Do not talk to me. You know, I have to just do this. I cannot put it down in the middle of the row. All that is conscious competence.
Yeah,
And then you
that's
get
me.
to the unconscious competence, which is like, oh, I've just done it for a zillion years and now I can do it and it's all really good and I can relax. I think Frank might be there, but I don't think the rest of us actually. Maybe Jenny. Jenny's fast. Jenny might be too. But
I'm not-
I'm barely bordering on the conscious competence some of the time. And Jerry is very well aware of it. It's like he comes in and I'm like, it's like, don't even look at me. I'm in the middle of the row. You know, it's like, get out. And I can't even break consciousness enough to say get out. I just kind of look at him and keep going. Of course, maybe that's kinder to him. I don't know.
Well, frankly, I can't do Continental at all. I can do Continental knit. I cannot do any kind of purl Continental. I've tried several different ones, but I haven't spent a month doing it. I haven't spent a year doing it. I've spent
Mhm.
an hour or two and said, I don't need to do this and gave up.
Right.
Yeah. Unlike Sumner, I wasn't committed to it. So you'll get it
I'll get there.
in
Yeah.
time.
And we all don't have to knit the same way.
Oh,
Yeah.
The goal
definitely
is
not.
the goal is not for us all to knit the same way. The goal is actually for each of us to knit with the same tension on knit. I mean, that's a big enough goal on knit and purl for ourselves. Each of us for ourselves. We can do it however we want.
Right.
However it
Right.
works for
And
us.
that I can do. I can do that. I like the exact same size knit garter and purl garter. I can do that.
Mhm.
Not
But you have to do it.
continental.
You have to do it a different way for your body to take a rest because you won't take a time out.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Sumner. My grandkids know I'm tacky. Maybe you're just now learning it.
Oh, my goodness. But and by the way, just loving Suzanne's teaching method.
Isn't it wonderful? It really is very,
Yeah,
very good.
I can't say enough about her. What a wonderful instructor.
Yeah. Just the things of learning all about the stitch anatomy and where the yarn goes. It's like I just never understood that before, and why it looks the way it does, and
Yep.
how to change it. And have you gotten to the classes where she makes you like bring a swatch and just drop stitches down every time, you know, like 4 or 5 rows and pick it up? Oh, you you have a treat in store, Sumner.
Well, I
Mhm.
mean, I do that anyway, and I pick them up, and I'm pretty good at that. So
Yeah, that was one of the things I almost quit a couple times. I just wanted to put my head down. It's like, I can't get this. I can't get this. And she was like very patient. It's like, no, you can. Now here, turn it to the other side and do this and do it. Look for the head of the stitch and, you know, kind of that sort of thing. She's taught it enough times. She knows that people are going to struggle with it.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
So what are you working on, Judith?
Got
On
it.
my screen, you were just on. That did not come out of the blue. On my screen, it was showing you.
I'm working on tension.
Oh, tension.
Yes.
No, I'm
Only-
not tense at all.
Only- Well, I finished my camisole that I was working on.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, look at that.
Wait,
Nice.
wait,
So
wait.
nice.
Oh,
Actually,
nice.
That is
yeah,
so
formidable.
beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
So
nice and light.
that was okay. And then I had some cotton yarn, 100% cotton yarn that was gifted to me, white. So I figured I would do a cardigan for summertime. And I started a swatch, and I was noticing that I had ridges gutters
Yeah.
when I was
Hmm.
on the wrong side. And that was not happening to me when I was working with wool.
Mhm.
So I tried
Yeah.
again, tension problem, figuring out, are my pearl stitch too tight? Is it the other way around? And I think my knit stitches were looser than my pearl stitches. And I couldn't make it work. So I ripped it and decided to work on another project. And then I thought, well, maybe I could try with some bamboo needles to see if it can make a difference. And it does. It did, and it does. So I'm trying to knit my cardigan again with the bamboo needles.
Nice.
So that's what I'm doing, but it was not going great with the metal needles.
That was
So
a good idea.
Yeah.
I
That
was
was a really good
thinking
idea,
about
yeah.
you all when that was not successful, thinking, I'm gonna talk about this Saturday. How am I going to tell them or whatever? And
Mhm, mhm.
so that's what I've been working on.
Good problem solving.
Mm.
Yeah, and it helps all of us,
Well,
right?
I really wish I could make it work with the metal needles.
It has to do with the differences in the fibers themselves. That different fibers have different amounts of like crimp and stretch and slipperiness or drag. Like silk, if you look at it under a microscope, it's just a straight strand. If you look at a strand of wool under a microscope, it kind of looks like a pine cone. It has all these things that stick out. That's why wool felt. But cotton is a pretty straight thing, but it's got little wispy goos sticking out, but not something that would cause it to like felt together or drag. It's more like that it just kind of wisps off. And so it is going to be much more that the fibers themselves will slip. And it's that way inherent in the way that the fiber is spun, sometimes two different ones, sometimes if it's like a chain or a 2-ply or a 3-ply or a single ply or something, that can impact it also. But what you found is that the metal needles for the cotton, your particular cotton that you were using, were a little bit too slippery, and so it wasn't quite holding the stitches weren't holding their shape enough, so every little thing was showing up as an imperfection. Where
it was so ugly.
Right. And then with the bamboo, it's like it's providing that little bit of grab to hold it so that only the right amount of yarn is going in. It's not going in too much, too little, too much, too little. Only the right amount was going on. And that's why They will say when you're trying to get gauge, that try different needles.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's even like plastic needles, wood, bamboo is different from other woods. Sometimes your
Carbon
wood is
fiber.
more highly polished or waxed or something, and even different, yeah, carbon fiber, Ron said too. And even sometimes different metal needles for me are different brands are a little bit more slippery or less slippery.
Right.
So we have to find the one that actually works with the fiber that we're using.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so you did.
Well, what can I say? And I had now I had to buy needles, other bamboo needles to
Well,
complete
your local yarn store thanks you for that.
Well, and collecting needles is also a hobby of mine.
It is,
They
it
have
is. Yeah,
so
I do
many.
that too. I do
Oh.
that too. It's really it's an important part of knitting.
I have so many.
Mhm. Don't we all?
Good
Yeah, yeah.
job though with figuring it out. That's great. And with sticking with it.
And I heard that that kind of problem when you have differences between your knit rows and your purl rows wouldn't go away even if you wash your fabric. So
No.
I was sure it was true, but I tested it, you know. So I bind off what I had, I put it in the washing machine, and it really is true. It made no difference at all.
And that's because
No.
in one row you actually have used a lot more yarn. And
Yep.
it's not necessarily a lot, but it's enough that you can see it. But
Yeah.
I'm doing it to demonstrate that you used a lot more yarn. And so even when you wash it, that extra yarn is still there.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
for the other one, you used less yarn, and the less yarn is still there. And it's not going to go from one row
Go
to
and
the
get
other.
Yeah.
The way that stitch anatomy works, it's just like the kind of the ribbon candy. It just goes up and down. It doesn't go down below.
Mm-mm.
It's just the one row. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my story. And what about you, Cindy? What have you
What
been
about me?
working
I actually have very good news. I finished
Oh.
all of the swatches that I had to reseam and redo and everything. So all of my swatches are done. And all the swatch information sheets where I had to update my instructions and do a little more research things and stuff, all that is all done. So that took me a month because I had gotten the first things on May 6th, and so it took me just like even less, I think one day less than a month. So I did, and so now I am knitting the vest, and this is how far I am. So I'm doing that. I've got a funny lifeline that you can see in here, but I just wanted to see exactly where my stuff was. And
Oh,
it is
that's
again,
great.
it's again that lovely tubular cast,
Tubular
Italian
cast on.
tubular cast on.
I love
Yeah.
that cast.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's
Yes.
that it is really pretty, and so that's where I'm at. So
Wow.
And
I'm
have you
on
checked
track.
have you checked your gauge, of course?
Oh gosh, yes. Oh gosh, yes.
I
And
know
I'm
you.
measuring everything
You're
multiple
you're
times.
checking
It's
the
like,
gauge
yes,
every
this
other
is going-
row.
This is going to work.
If it
What a
kills you,
question.
it's gonna work. Yeah.
So, but no, it's fine. It's nice, and I am being very, very careful so that you will see. It's like it doesn't look like a lot of rowing out or any of that. It's
Oh
No.
no.
my
It's
intention
beautiful.
is being nice. And this is the Plymouth yarns. They're Galway, and the color is almond.
Very nice.
Very nice. So I did a couple rows with what your little suggestions there, and wouldn't you know, Cindy's right.
Yeah.
How surprising is that?
Yes.
Look, see the difference?
Yeah.
See the difference?
Yeah.
You can see the difference.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I can tell you were so happy about that, Sumner. You just love that I was right. I love
Oh,
that I
it
was
sucks
right.
to be right all the time. Be careful.
Oh, I didn't say it was all the time. Try not to answer if I
Isn't that
don't
funny?
know.
No, that's there you go. Well, and I knew it. It just making myself do it has been the thing.
Mhm.
And to be consistent about it. That's where I'm struggling. I'll get there. I will get
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Well, Cindy, I don't know if you read the comments on the posted videos, but a number of people are watching with bated breath to see you complete this program. They comment on it.
Oh,
It's
that's
so
very
great to see
nice.
Cindy making progress on the program.
It's very nice. How sweet. How sweet. Mm.
Well, I have completed a design for my next sweater, which I'm not going to publish. This is going to be just a sweater for me, but I'm using the Phrancko yoke pattern, and I designed my own yoke. And let's see how I can show you. I'll show you the design, if I can do that. Where is Zoom? Oh, there it is. Okay, I designed 3 different patterns. That's the first one. That's the single, and that's this, and that's the repeat of the second one.
Ooh.
And that's this is the third one. That's the single copy. That's the repeat. And
Fun.
here they are all together.
Ooh, isn't that
Oh.
nice?
Okay.
But what you can't tell here is that there will be increases that makes them line up.
Ah,
So I did
okay.
one more chart that includes the increases. And you can see this diamond is above this array here, which is above between these 2 posts here. This oval here is aligned up with the diamond here, and a box that's hard to see here. So they all line up vertically because it turned out completely by coincidence, all 3 of those stripes repeat 10 times with different numbers of stitches on the needles. There are increases on the white rows or the light beige rows. There are increases there. Those M's that you see are increases. And of course, the gray bars here are above the increases where there's no stitch. But that's how you can see that they're lining up. And
Wow.
so
Nice.
I also did something else that I am not sure what to do with, but I'm going to figure out how to do something with it. And that's a video. I videoed myself in real time preparing the pattern, and then also creating these designs to fit into the pattern. And I want people to be able to see what the process is, to start from a plain Phrancko pattern. Where did it go? Oops, that wasn't it. This is it. I started with this plain Phrancko pattern and modified things. So the orange highlight is where I removed round 4 here and created a new round 4, which has the increases. And then I added round 5, which has no increase. In other words, round 5 was originally written to be the increase round, but I moved it up to round 4. That's all those marks are just saying I moved it up to round 4. And that gave me 9 unincreased rounds to put a chart into. And then I did something similar down here. I moved this last round down to round 34 from where it was on round 33. So my video shows me doing all these changes, figuring out where to move the rounds, also how to change the number of stitches I increase so that the number comes out to be a number that I can work with, rather than a number I can't work with. And how do you determine whether you can work with a number or not? You go to Google and you'll see what factors there are to that number of stitches. And if the factors say, oh, this can repeat every 16 stitches or 18 stitches, that's great. But if it says, oh, the only repeats for this number is 4 and 42, well, that's not, neither one of those is going
Not gonna
to
work.
repeat.
Yeah.
So you change the number of increases like I did here. Well, I did on all three of them. On round 14, instead of increasing 12 on the front and back, I increased 10 on the front and back. So instead of having 164 stitches, I only have 160. So I ended up, I had 140 on after the first increase round, 160 after the second, and 190 after the third. And all three of those can be divided by 10 for a reasonable repeat of 14 stitches, 16 stitches, and 19 stitches. So then I was able to create 3 charts that repeat 10 times each and will line up. So all of that
That
is
is-
video,
that's
but the video
amazing.
is probably 2 hours long or more, and nobody's gonna watch that. So I have to figure out how to use part of that and show the
Well,
process.
can you do it in like 3 or 4 parts of, part 1, we're gonna do this. Part
Yeah.
2, we're gonna do this.
Sure.
I think that would be the way to do it, because it is gonna take somebody some time to work through it themselves and figure it out. So
Yes.
it's kind of like, so what was the first thing that you did, Frank? Did
Yeah,
you
there
come
are
up with a
definitely
little design
steps.
thing?
There's steps.
Or,
You create the pattern with a yoke design. That's step 1.
Well, what
Okay.
did you swatch? Did you
And
make an arbitrary stranded pattern to swatch?
do a swatch.
What did you
swatch?
use to swatch? Did you make it just an arbitrary stranded pattern so it wouldn't be your plain stockinette gauge, or?
I have been using this same yarn that's drops.
You borrowed it from another project.
Let me think. Merino extra fine. And I've been using it for a long time, and I know what the gauge is. And turns out the gauge for my color work is very close to my stockinette. So I was able to use that gauge. But yes, you would have to start with a swatch, but I didn't include that in the planning. I created the pattern, figured out which rounds should be increase rounds, and moved increase rounds around. As I showed you, I moved them one direction or the other. Then after I had that, then I figured out how many stitches were going to be on the needles at each round. So how many increases so these are all separate steps. And once I know how many charts I'm going to do, what the repeat of each one is, then I can go to Stitch Fiddle and create a chart that is just one repeat and work in that chart to generate a pattern.
So you didn't come up with your little design things first.
No,
First you did the whole sweat.
that was the
See, that's the
last
thing.
thing.
Oh, see, I would never even think to do that. That's
Yeah, I
interesting.
wanted the patterns to fit in without there being a place where they don't match. And
So
you can do that if you're doing one size. I found out
Right.
it's not possible for me to do that if I'm doing a multi-size pattern.
right.
Because every size has a different number of rounds in every section. And so you just can't come up with, unless you did complete set of charts for every single size, and you'd have like 9 sizes with 3 charts each. That'd be way too many charts.
Well, how many
this-
stitches does it take to get to the next size from the prior size?
How many what?
How many stitches does it take? Like, can't you just add another repeat and there's the next size up?
It doesn't work that simply.
Mm.
It would work that simply if there are different fits for the same person, actually, because they all have the same shoulder width for one person.
Oh, I see.
But
Yeah.
the shoulder width is
Okay.
different for each size
For
when you're
each
doing
person.
small, medium, large, extra large.
And it's not
size
consistent.
sizes.
Right.
So
Okay.
they all end up
this
being
is-
different.
This is really a custom knit sweater with a custom design just for you.
That's
right?
right.
So it's one,
It's
one where
not for
we can
publication.
really, but we can really make a one of a kind. No one else is ever going to have this sweater if you do this. That
Exactly.
you can have, it's going to fit you, it's going to be with your yarn, your gauge, but also
Yeah.
your designs that you choose, and it's going to line up and fit the way that you want. That's
So, yeah,
really cool.
I like Cindy's idea to break it out into like a course with like 1 to 4 different videos with what steps you're on, so that
Yeah.
it's digestible, because you don't want to take information out. You need it.
Right.
I did the video, and in the beginning I said, this is an experiment to do a design in real time on video.
Mhm.
And show you how long it takes and how many restarts there are, how many mistakes you make, and then you decide you don't want to do that, you do something else. So all of that is in the video. So I thought I might end up making a more concise video to go along with that video and say, here are the steps, here's what each one looks like.
Okay.
Ideally, if you did it the right way the first time. And then here's this long video that shows, here's what it's really like in real life.
Yeah.
Well, right, which is the right way, 'cause that's real life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my fun project this week. And now I'm starting the sweater, and I guess I should show you how much progress I've made.
That's great. Yes, please.
Well, here's what I have so far.
Pretty.
Oh, that's pretty.
I like that.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's nice.
Very nice.
Very nice. Yeah.
And right now I started, of course, at the neckline and did the rounds of patterning, but
Mhm.
I can't do that while I'm doing this meeting. So I went back to the neckline, and now I'm just putting in the ribbing. So I'm working on both edges at this point.
At the same time.
It's good that you bring all this up, because I was going to ask you about doing another custom Phrancko class in my summer class series that was for customizing the circular yoke design.
Oh,
Because when I was planning out classes earlier, so I penciled in Phrancko class, and then that we could go over customizing them. It might be less daunting for people than the partitioning off of the original
Yep.
Phrancko classic.
right. You're referring to the way I was doing the yoke in the beginning?
No, the
No?
traditional the
Oh,
Phrancko that
oh.
existed beforehand.
Oh, yes. The whole start of the sweater is just so much easier than
Yeah.
all of the other patterns.
So
So the complexity is in doing the color work.
which is why 2 of my students in that original class I did just said, I'm not doing anything on the top of the bodice, and then I'm going to put something down here. And then
Yes.
one of them was like, yeah, I'm doing stranded knitting the entire way. So we had to like draw out the stitches on graph paper and figure out where the patterns would go.
Yes. If you look at all of my designs I've published, almost all of them have very plain stuff beside the neck. That's exactly why. It's
particular
all of
student
this
was
is done flat. This
gonna
particular
do-
sweater, I didn't do that, but you can see it's really quite simple.
Mm.
On the top, it's just some purl stitches.
Well, it is simple, but yet it moves right into the, I don't know what you would call them, but into the V. It all flows exactly like when your pattern flows into your ribbing or something. It flows into the shoulders there. It's beautiful.
Yes, it's like the overall design is like a big cable.
Mm.
Oh, that is.
I like-
It's a huge. But yet, is it a cable or is it not? Because it
It's
doesn't.
not a
it doesn't
cable. Each one
cross.
of these is just a little traveling stitch,
Okay,
basically.
that's what I was thinking. Because I started to say cable, and it's like, what if they don't cross? I don't think they're cables. I don't know what they are.
They're not
They
actually
move,
cables.
but they're not cables.
Well, unless you call it 1 by 1 crossover, a cable. That's all there is on this sweater.
That's cool.
Existing in this heat, I'm falling out.
Uh-oh. You need an ice pack on your head.
I'm gonna put myself in the fridge.
Well,
So-
you know, that would be a selling point at the yarn shop. You could have a little walk-in fridge area.
Well, we keep it frigid in here. We with the split unit AC, but just haven't been out and about this morning. I'm sitting here just like, and being exposed to heat gives me hives.
Oh,
So-
no, that's sad.
Life is hard everywhere. Worst things have happened at sea.
When I lived down south and was a kid, we used to go to the grocery store when it would get really hot and just walk up and down the frozen food aisle. I'm
Well,
serious. We
Look, we're
did.
very interested in TV dinners.
It's like, yes, here, we're going to buy some popsicles and we'll just walk up and down the frozen food aisle for a little while to
I'm
get cooled
weighing
off.
the merits of Salisbury steak and turkey. Speaking of Salisbury steak and turkey, I was inspired by Sumner telling us about American chop suey the other day, last week. So I started to explore the interesting world of the ethnic regional cuisine of New Englanders.
And I love Salisbury steak.
I made something called beef tips and gravy.
Okay.
Ooh.
Nothing I'd ever heard of. We don't have such a thing as a beef tip where I'm from.
Really?
There's nothing you'd find in the grocery store here. So what do they eat in Massachusetts? It's so exotic.
Yeah.
So
Not so
I
much.
did. I made us a big mess of beef tips and gravy.
Did you have mushrooms in it?
I did indeed.
Over,
There you go.
over noodles?
Over mashed potatoes.
Oh, all right.
Fabulous.
That's good
Good.
too.
Mashed
But
potatoes
tell
is
anyone, but they were
okay, too.
shiitake mushrooms because that's what I keep in the fridge.
Oh, that's fun.
Inherently Californian, whether or not I try.
Yeah.
I did mushrooms, onion gravy. Calls
Ah.
for a quarter cup of Worcestershire sauce,
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
which I
Yeah.
love.
Just delicious.
I fully endorse it as I
Yeah.
explore more.
So are we going to have a Phrancko cookbook?
Yeah, first you design a Phrancko sweater inspired by your recipe.
Now, what would tri-tips and gravy look like?
Um,
But I mean, I could imagine doing the mushrooms. That I could
Right,
see
yeah.
doing that one.
Yeah, it's funny. We don't have tri-tip over here.
no, it gets
We don't
ground
have that.
meat,
No.
ground
Mm.
beef.
Yeah.
And
We
so I-
have just a few minutes left, and
Sorry.
there are people who haven't shown their work. Anybody want to show us?
I'm casting off socks. So I've just cast off sock number 1.
Oh, that's so pretty.
Oh, very
Yeah,
nice.
so you can't
Oh,
see the lights the wrong way around.
No,
but
the
yes,
lights
sock-
behind you. Yeah,
Yes, I know.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow,
So
nice. Mm.
sock number 1 cast off, and
Great.
sock number 2 to go.
and that's got that pattern down the front, as I recall. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes, that's got
Oh.
the pattern
Oh, that's good. Yeah, you can see that.
Oh.
That's
down the
beautiful.
front.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Nice.
So I've just finished the ribbing at the top and done the sewn bind off at the top, which
Nice.
is just lovely and neat. Yeah.
Beautiful.
You know, we always talk about Jenny going on zeros. She does not just go on zeros. She goes on double or triple zeros. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Oh, was I the only one that just thought it was zeros? I mean, I started some socks and I just did them on zeros, thinking I'm like Jenny, and now I find out I'm not.
Well, the cup of these is 000,
Oh, lovely.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Mm.
and then
Oh.
the sock is on zeros, in homage to Ginny.
Ooh,
So it gives this absolutely gorgeous stretch.
yeah, it really is.
Yeah. And this is just my standard catboardy sock with the traditional heel. I have a pretty high instep. I need the space between the heel and Otherwise, I just can't put the sock on.
Uh,
But yeah, and I'll be finished. They're completely matched correctly.
Look at that, look at that.
Hey,
that's
well
great.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That took a little bit, but it works.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Beautiful.
Do you do the German twisted cast on?
uh,
For the-
yes,
Yeah, all right,
yes, on the 000s.
yeah.
I'm
You need the extra yarn between the stitches to give the
Yeah.
spring.
Yeah, to get that spread. Because you're on such a small needle.
reaching
Look at
the end
that.
of the yoke of the ranunculus.
Oh,
look at that.
nice.
Nice, look at
Another
that.
mock cable down here. I'm working this up on 10s, so that's like a 0, but
The other side of the spectrum.
I took all of your extra millimeters. So
Lovely.
there's a
Nice
mock
lacy pattern.
cable, some slip stitch, some
Yeah.
little a simple eyelet lace, and then this mock cable will repeat, and then it's on to the rest of the body. So every size of the pattern starts with an identical yoke, and then there's a
Yes.
raglan section. It goes from a circular yoke to a raglan to get the different sizes for the body.
Hmm.
That was interesting.
Yes.
So every
and what-
size has an identical yoke.
And what yarn are you using?
This is something that I'm using that I like to call Cirrus because that's its name. Cirrus.
Good. Good reason to call it that.
Yes,
Like-
I'm so hot, you guys. By Juniper Moon Farms. It's 100% cotton in a chainette, the softest cotton yarn I have ever touched. So I'm hoping that it will block out beautifully and be a very open, drapey, nice looking finished garment.
Nice.
Ah,
And we did have a question in the chat this last week. Peaches7551 asked, what size ranunculus are you making?
I am making the smallest size. I'm not making it for anyone. It is a shop sample, so
I
I
see.
pretend I know lots and lots of tiny people when I do that. Although the smallest size ranunculus is meant to be worn with so much positive ease, the smallest
Right.
size is something like a 46-inch bust circumference in the finished garment.
Wow,
Oh.
that's a huge sweater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's meant to be worn in a very oversized way. So I know a lot of people have re-gauged it into something more form-fitting, or use the larger size and then knit it on a finer gauge to make it a more typically fitting sweater. There are tons of projects with tons of notes, but I'm working on the smallest size. But as I say, it's yet to be any different from any other size. I could wake up tomorrow and decide to make the biggest one
Hmm.
Oh,
and then live in
Right.
it, because it would be a tent.
Yeah.
It would be like 10 inches of positive ease on me.
Oh, wow.
Wow, there you go.
Thanks, Peaches.
Wally, what are you working on? I don't.
I'm
think
still
we've heard
working
from
on
you
my
yet.
sweater. I had to cut it back because the way they explained it, you were measuring from from the rib. And when I did it, it was too long. So I cut it back and I'm redoing it like 3.5 inches shorter.
wow.
The other thing is the way they do the decreases in the armhole. It's they do, what is it, 1x3, 2x2, and 2x1, and that's how the French. I had to figure that out. So, but
Oh,
I
so
got it.
this was the French one that you were trying to figure out.
Right,
What does
right.
that word mean?
And what it
That is so
means
brave.
is that you're doing you're decreasing 3 stitches one time on one row, you're decreasing 2 stitches twice on 2 rows, and you're decreasing 1 stitch on 2 rows, because it ended up to be it ended up to be for 74 stitches, and it ended up to be 18 decreases.
Okay,
So
wow.
yeah, so what I ended up doing is I found a book online from Pigeon that was written in English, and I got it home here, and they're all the same way. That's how they
Okay, that's how they
decrease their
did the
armholes.
decrease.
And all their sweaters are in 4
Are
pieces.
you done? Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, so
interesting,
it is
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah,
None of them are in the round, none of them are in top down. They're all, 2 sleeves, 2 backs and fronts, and you sew everything together.
hmm,
Yeah, I like that.
You like that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So
I have to
I
save
love
it for
macro
next
stitching.
week, but I learned a lot of interesting Spanish knitting vocabulary this week.
no.
Really?
oh,
I'll save it for next time.
Yes, it's a little late today, but
Yeah.
I'm really interested in hearing that.
That reminded me.
Great. Well, it's been fun spending the hour with you. It's time for
Yep.
us to say goodbye for another week.
All right.
Go knit in
And have a
public.
great week, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.
bye, everybody.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Have a nice weekend.
See you next week.
Yeah.